So last night I went to see Thanksgiving, directed by Eli Roth, and here's my honest review. Spoilers ahead. So the plot of this film is honestly really intriguing. The film starts us off on Thanksgiving Day around the only shopping centre that's open. We are introduced to our main group of teenagers who get into the shop first because the main character's dad owns the shop. This results in the crowd getting really mad and angry, and eventually they push their way into the shop, resulting in nothing but chaos. And might I say, this opening was crazy. We get some really cool shots here. We get lady getting her head trampled on, her hair getting caught into a trolley, getting ripped off, some guy getting trapped under a door, getting stomped, another guy, as he walks in, his throat gets slit from a piece of glass that was broken. It was amazing. This is probably one of my favourite openings to a movie in a very long time. The main cop of the story then pulls out his gun and shoots in the sky, then getting our title, Thanksgiving. And I thought this was really cool. It was creative. It was fun. After this, we cut 1 year later. Once again, it's Thanksgiving week. Everyone's getting ready for the Thanksgiving parade. Everyone's on edge because they don't want this shop to be open again, even though the shop owner is like, yeah, it's going to be open. And the community is still pissed with last year's Thanksgiving event. We then see a mysterious figure watching footage that was filmed from one of the teenagers from last year's Thanksgiving shopping parade event. And we see that he's plotting to get ready to do some damage. So from there, we get our first victim kill of the film, which is the waitress, who was one of the ladies who was trying to get into the shopping centre from the year before. Now she's closing up her cafe for the night, and all of a sudden she hears a bit of a noise, and she has a look, and it's a John Carter mask left on the bench. From there, someone dressed as John Carter and a pilgrim, they kind of throw her around, they put her in a sink, they put her face on a freezer door, and it's so cool. It's so intense, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? All of a sudden, she then makes it back to her car, only for someone to be sitting in her car, which is the John Carter Thanksgiving killer, and he basically rams her over into a bin, cutting her body in half. Now, our main teenagers then get tagged in a photo of half her body sitting on top of a star from the shop. We then get our second kill of the film, which is the security guard from the shopping event from last year, and he ran away and I guess let the crowd break out. So whoever this killer is, they wanted revenge on that guy. So basically this guy, he gets killed through his head getting chopped off with some electrical wire, which I thought, damn, some alpha from Walking Dead shit. I loved it. I thought it was so cool, so gruesome. And that's one thing this film done really well, was they made creative, gruesome kills. Continue from there, the group starts to get a bit more on alert while they're at school. They know that they're next and that this Thanksgiving killer is coming after them. We then get a kill from a cheerleader and the coach of the school. While they're about to do some funkies, this Thanksgiving killer comes and breaks the coach's neck, which I thought was pretty cool, and he stabs the knife through the trampoline as she's jumping on the trampoline, which results in her dying. When this happens, the cops evacuate the school, resulting in the teenagers getting really pissed. One of the teenagers in the group, Evan, decides that he's had enough, so he goes into the school with his girlfriend, and I think they're about to do some funkies, but what happens is they get kidnapped by the Thanksgiving killer. We then get a bit of a game of cat and mouse with our main character Jessica and the Thanksgiving killer. This ultimately leads into a bit of a showdown with Jessica, our main character, and the Thanksgiving killer. Luckily, Jessica escapes and is a little bit traumatized. She's like, yeah, nah, they're after us. So her and Scoob, who is another member in the group, they go and buy a gun. They want to prepare themselves. While this happens, another girl in the group, Yulia, her father comes and takes her home and says, nah, we need to move. This is too dangerous. Like, you're involved in this. I don't want something bad to happen to you. But sadly, she's the next to die. This is probably one of my favourite deaths. The killer stabs her in the ears and then holds her hostage as Scoob and Jessica rush to the house. The killer then throws Yulia on an open saw blade, resulting in her getting cut and chopped up. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But I'm like, I do say that little minced meat as you meat there. What are you doing, you little makeup artist? No, nothing. This ultimately leads to the cop, Jessica, and Scoob trying to come up with a plan to ensure the safety of everyone who is involved in this revenge plot. It cuts to Thanksgiving Day parade where everyone is like, trying to be on alert. They're trying to get rid of everyone on the street who's wearing John Carter masks, We cut to a mascot of a turkey who's walking around, and all of a sudden his head gets chopped off by a clown wielding an axe, which I thought was incredible. Me and my boys were like, no! We were freaking out because this scene was amazing. This ultimately leads to more chaos, resulting in parade floats, stopping at their brakes. a piece of wood flies through the back of the window, resulting in a grandpa's face getting like smushed while his grandkids are watching. Like his nose is here. It's incredible. I loved it. All of a sudden, the killer then tranquilizes us, I guess you could say, our 4 remaining victims, which is Jessica, Jessica's dad, Jessica's stepmother, and Scoob, and he ultimately takes them to his basement. This is where he sets up a live stream of them and I guess prepares them for death. While he does that, he cooks Jessica's stepmom in the oven, which was, that was intense. Like, she almost escaped, and then bang, she got killed. And I actually thought she was the killer from the get-go, but I was wrong. She was not the killer. Jessica escapes to a ring that she was given through one of her friends, I guess you could say. And here is where she finds the cop, the main cop of the story, laying down on the floor, who looks like he had been injured. Now, this entire time, the film sets up this, like, I guess this love triangle between Jessica, Bobby, who she dated at the start of the film, and this guy named Ryan. And ultimately, you think Ryan or Bobby is one of the killers because they just set it up, but it's like, it's too obvious. It's not that. But then we see Bobby, like, lurking around this warehouse, and the cop basically says, it's Bobby. Bobby is the killer. Now, that's too easy. It can't be Bobby. So everyone's thinking, who is this killer? Only for Jessica to realize that it's actually the cop who's the killer. The cop's motive of this plan was the fact that he actually loved the girl at the very start of the film who got her head trampled on by the trolley, and she was in fact pregnant with his kid. So that was a bit of a twist. I was like, okay, that's, I guess, a good motive, but why 1 year later on Thanksgiving? Like, why? Like, you know, to take you 1 year to plan? I mean, it was a pretty well thought plan, like all the live stream cameras set up to ensure he wouldn't get caught. So maybe it took him 1 year. There's a bit of a showdown with Jessica. Bobby comes to save the day, and they ultimately blow up the cop. And yeah, the film ends with the detective saying there was no body found in the warehouse, I guess leading to a possible sequel. But that was the plot for Thanksgiving. So the acting of this film was fun. There were actors who I have never really seen before in this film, who I thought had amazing performance, such as Neil Volak as Jessica, our main character, and Rick Hoffman's character as Thomas Wright, the father of Jessica. I thought he done a really cool job. I don't know, something about his character and just his look. I really enjoyed his character. We also had the wonderful Addison Rae Sharp in this film, and I mean, I guess you could say her performance was better than this garbage. Yeah. But the actors weren't anything to, I guess, brag about of this film. They all just played their part well. Except Patrick Dempsey's performance as the cop, who I thought he'd done a really good job bringing, I guess, this horror aspect alive. So the pacing of this film is a big one, and I wanted to talk about this one a lot because I thought it was exceptional. I never once felt bored while I was watching this film, which is shocking, honestly. Especially because I don't really like these like cheesy horror, like, well, it wasn't even cheesy, I guess these thrasher thriller films. I haven't seen a good one for a while. Like the last good one I would say would be like a Scream movie. Thought that was cool. But this one, yeah, I don't know, something about it. The pacing was amazing. I was hooked and invested into the film, and I thought the suspense parts of this film worked really well, you know, from the little creative, interesting, gruesome kills. I guess that's what kept me hooked. And like, it wasn't just me, like all my boys, we felt the same while we were watching this. We were like, we're so invested, and we didn't feel bored. We were like, oh, come on, what's happening next? Or, I don't know. It just, something about this film, the pacing worked really well, and hats off to that. All in all, I think you're going to have a real good time watching this film. It's creative and gruesome, and it's just a fun holiday movie to watch with your mates like I did. So all in all, I'm giving Thanksgiving an 8 out of 10. It's such a fun, creative film, and personally, I think you should experience this film in cinema by yourself or with your friends for the ultimate movie watch. Thank you guys so much for checking out this Thanksgiving review. Comment down below if you watched Thanksgiving and what you thought of it. Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys. Have a good one.